doing? Back again, another episode of It Factor. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson, and today we have someone special. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Well, nowadays I introduce myself in full, kind of like how Michael B. Jordan does, but Chauncy Deion Sanders from Cleveland, Ohio,
Sir.
and a graduating senior. Glad to say that now, graduating senior at the illustrious Alabama A&M University.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm proud of you for that, man. That's going to be a
Thank you.
major accomplishment coming your way. Definitely. Beyond graduation.
Yes, sir.
So, in that, I would say, man, how are you doing mentally, physically, and emotionally? How are you doing, man?
Man, things are great. I'm in the heat of things, as I like to say, the nitty gritty of the semester, if you will, where things are starting to come to an end.
Mhm.
The tension's rising to make sure you're on top of everything. You don't want any sneak up or surprises. And then, of course, as a graduating senior, you want those jobs, you want those opportunities to start aligning themselves once you walk that cross that stage. You
Right.
don't want that pressure of having to graduate and then find an opportunity.
Mhm.
And then, of course, just being in the heat of things mentally, I think I'm great. I'm probably better than I probably have been in a long time. Just being able to relax a little bit and ease up of some of that tension that the season brings to me.
Right.
And then just coming back from the Black Sports Business Symposium this previous week, just also been able to put a different type of battery pack in my back, if you will.
Yes, indeed. That's awesome, man. That was a good
Yeah.
symposium. I was able to go with my
Oh
linebackers, man. It was good. I wish I would have known. I was like, man, let me find my guy.
man. Yeah, man. It was awesome. It was
I see
awesome,
so
man.
many
I hate you
great
missed
people,
it. We're gonna have to
man.
work on that next year. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely got to. So in that, I would say, man, how is it attending Alabama A&M, man? I love y'all university. I worked at NASA down in Redstone, so
Wow.
worked there back in 2015, and I love it definitely.
Oh
So
man, I could tell you it's a night and day difference between 2015 and 2023 now. If you ever get a chance to come up to Huntsville and Normal, if you will,
uh-huh,
being here, it hasn't been easy. It comes just as many HBCUs, it comes with its ups and downs. And I think it's what you make out of your experience here at Alabama A&M.
yeah,
And I love my university. I've loved what it's been able to do for me and the opportunities I've been able to garner being from here. And the lifestyle is a lot different when you're from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're used to hearing sirens each and every day. And now, at one point, when earlier on in my college career, I was calling home saying, "Man, I think I got to go track down the fire department or track down the police department." You know what I mean? Because I'm not hearing any sirens. You're not, seeing too much nonsense go on. Everybody is kind of going towards the same goal, which is to get that degree
right.
and to go on to do bigger and better things in life. And make sure that we continue the tradition and the rich legacy that this university carries. So, it's been an amazing experience and I'm excited. I'm excited for what the future holds. We've been able to build across campus, as you see, not just the infrastructures, but things that they're putting in place, whether it's in the athletic department or in the
Mhm.
communications department, where I've been able to have my studies in and try to build on to what we've been already started here at Alabama A&M.
Got you, man. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. So what led you to mass media? So why mass media, man?
Mm. Well, for one, I think I like to talk. My parents used to always say that you like talking, and a lot of people know like I'm not much of a talker, truthfully, like that.
Mhm.
But when it comes to sports, I'm all open. Whether it was growing up in the barbershop or just meeting new people in general, it's like I always had that niche for talking sports, no matter what, just even at the youngest of age. I remember growing up. Now it's funny to look back at it. I was talking to my oldest brother, Dante,
Mhm.
where we used to stay in the same room together. And every night he was prepping me without even knowing for what I'm doing now. We were going back and forth on the Kobe LeBron conversation.
Oh man.
And in the wee hours of the night, I mean, it would be going late at night, like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
And my mother and my parents would have to come in at certain points, like, all right, we need y'all to stop this conversation. Like, it's getting ridiculous now. You know what I mean? Like, y'all got to go to bed. Like, this is ridiculous. Y'all up middle of the night arguing over Kobe and LeBron in 2009. And now, it's funny to fast forward and look where I'm at today. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that's part of the journey. You know what I mean? And I didn't necessarily have a great idea for what I wanted to do I knew what this is what I wanted to do growing up,
Mhm,
but I just didn't necessarily know how to navigate what I wanted, how I was going to get to where I am today
mhm,
until I want to say I was about 17 years old. And we could actually go back and find this now. In 20, I would say 17 season, when
mhm,
Kevin Durant first got there, the Cavs were actually having their banner night
mhm,
and the Guardians were having game one of the World Series at the same time. And it was a huge sports spectacle back then. And First Take actually came on the road to Cleveland.
mhm,
And I remember I was getting ready to go to class and I found out the news where they were going to be at and stuff like that. And I turned around and asked my mom. I was like desperate, and she knew that this is what I wanted to do. I said, "Mom, like, can I know I got school. I'm a senior, but I get out of class at 12 o'clock. Do you think I could skip this day? Can I, go ahead and try to make my way over to First Take?" And she told, you're good to go, and she gave me the green light. And once she did that, I got that chance to sit there in front row at First Take, got a little screen airtime, if you will, and during the commercial breaks, Stephen A. Smith would, interact with the crowd, get questions, take pictures, things of that nature.
mhm,
And the microphone finally got to me. And, one thing I remember asking him was, how did you get into this business? Like, what did you do in college? And that kind of motivated me, if you will,
mhm,
inspired me to do what I do now. He said, son, I went to school at Winston State. I'm not going to tell you what school you should go to, but I
mhm.
will tell you, I think a HBCU is one, it might be in your best interest. And then he continued to tell me about, the journalism program and how his professor got him into the business and into the writing business. And it went on from there. And that kind of just sparked me a little bit, if you will. It sparked me to do what I do now, get into this communications media field and try to make the best of it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you was,
Yeah.
I would say, what is your air factor then? Why you do what you do?
But I believe I do what I do because it's not too many of us doing this business, if you will.
Okay.
So it's tough, despite what people think
Mhm,
that this is easy, we're just talking about sports and people think that this is just like this is an easy job, but it's really not. When you go into these locker rooms, and this is something that we were discussing in Atlanta for the Black Sports Business Symposium. When you go in these locker rooms in the NFL, you go into these locker rooms in the NBA, and so on and so forth, you don't see a lot of representation when it comes to Black and brown people. I want to say it again. You don't see a lot of representation when it comes to Black and brown people telling these stories of our dear athletes. And I
mhm.
figured that is a huge problem, because sometimes there's a discord in what the player is trying to convey because of the writer that's trying to convey the story that the player is telling us, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When we look at culture, our culture in general, when
Mhm,
people are talking about a hot comb, when Simone Biles is talking about a hot comb on a Sunday getting her hair done,
mhm.
or LeBron is talking about his experience in Akron and what he had to go through and going to the battle between going to St. Vincent St. Mary and Akron Bookville. Certain writers aren't going to understand that. You have to come from it. You got to be cut from that cloth to
Definitely.
be able to understand those stories. And so that's what really got me into this business, man. Being able to see someone like myself on air and to inspire the next
Mhm.
young person to try to do what I'm doing. I think that is my why. I think we need to go back to making being in journalism and broadcasting cool again. And
Mhm.
at the same time, making sure that we change the narrative on that as well.
Definitely. You're right about that because I mean, my 2 cents to it is that at the end of the day, it's crazy that another thing they were saying at the symposium, and I think this being a athlete and having friends and interviewing different NFL people and personnel now, I have really sat down and came to the point of like, ain't it crazy that half these leagues are mostly like 80% black and the people
Right,
that's
right,
telling their stories don't look nothing like them. So like you're saying, they don't know nothing about what's going on. That's like listening to how they slander Lamar Jackson and seeing how, oh, you should do this and this so and they bring on people. And I'm like, man, that's a man at the end of the day. He does a job. It's a lot going on. I'm a consumer to this. I don't know him personally, but if I was telling his story, I'd be telling the positive, hey, pay the man. Do what we can do to make sure that this can move in a positive way. Why speak down on him? And you're waiting for his downfall. And I really don't like that. That made me turn off ESPN, to be honest. I'd be like, nah, I can't even indulge in this, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand. Right, and that just kind of goes back to what we're talking about in the scope of things, man. We just need people to that represent and look like us to
Hmm.
represent us in these fields, and a lot more than what we are.
Right.
I don't think it's a coincidence when we see a man of color who is at the height of his career at the time,
Right.
takes the time out of one of the biggest weeks in sporting event history
Hmm.
to ask a question to his boss, hey, why don't we see enough representation? And then in the following weeks, excuse me, he's let go.
Yeah.
That just can't be. And I think we need to bring more awareness to this.
Hmm.
I think that we need to be able to put more in place to guide and navigate
Right.
the youth and younger talent to be able to get into this business a little bit easier than what we've been able to do, and help not just get into the business, but stay in the business. I
There
think
you
that's
go.
another key too as well. And I think we did a great job this following week with the Black Sports Business Symposium.
Definitely.
And I think that's a huge step into the direction we are looking to go into.
Yes, indeed. So with that being said, the LA Rams, man, getting that job, and let's even
Yeah.
get back to the Black Symposium. Like, what led to you working for the LA Rams, and how was that experience for you?
Well, it's kind of like I'm a spokesperson at this point. We keep going
Uh,
back and forth to Atlanta in the symposium, but it actually led from there. It started off from the symposium. I took a chance, as I described, and I guess I'll plug myself now. I didn't want to really jump into it just yet, but in the mini doc, I actually talk about that where we're going to have a feature with the Black Sports Business Symposium where I talk about, I took a chance. I was already doing an unpaid internship at a local news station here in Huntsville,
mhm,
and I had the weekend off, and I said, you know what? I know I don't have much right now, but going to the symposium may lead to something bigger than anything, I may possibly get my hands on. It's now or never, take the leap of faith and just do it. And I got there, and of course, I saw a guy that I looked at as a mentor
mhm.
and a confidant and a great example in Steve Weiss. And we were having a conversation. It had been some time since we saw each other. He's like, man, look at you. You got hair on your face. And, I almost wasn't able to tell who you were. You got so older since I met you the first time in Canton, where I was like 18, 19 at the time. And he introduced me to a guy and who, lo and behold, is Kevin Demoff, the COO of the Los Angeles Rams.
Absolutely.
And he kind of got into that same discussion that we just had moments ago
Mhm.
about the representation in this business, and what's my why and why am I doing this? And it just stemmed from there. In the following day, he comes up to me and says, hey man, did you see your LinkedIn? I'm like, no, I didn't even get a chance. I've just been so caught up in the symposium. Just had a hard time, trying to look into my phone that much because I've been so locked in on the
Right.
speakers and the amazing panel discussions they had. And so he's like, whenever you get a chance, just, take a look. I think I got a good idea and just let me know what you think about it. And so, I said, okay, no problem. And then I went out with a good group of mine from the symposium. We went out for dinner and I was like, you know what, let me check my phone. Now I got a little time on my hands. I looked down my LinkedIn and here he is. I didn't know at the time that he was the COO. I just know he was Kevin Demoff. He's a good friend of Steve Weiss.
Mhm.
That's when I found out he's Kevin Demoff, one of the founders and chair members of the symposium and also the Rams COO. And he's like, hey, I got this idea. How about you come to training camp with us,
Mhm.
and you can learn from some of our guys. And, I was immediately like, you know what? Hey, I need to leave lunch. I need to leave dinner. Let me get this going into motion. Let me,
Mhm.
quickly reply to this man, and it kind of went from there, and it was one of the best experiences in my entire life. You know, and I'm proud to say that, and I never take it for granted, and I thank Kevin to this day. You know, even last weekend, I was like, man, you know, I would never could have imagined calling a game for one in football, but for two, the Super Bowl champions. You know,
Yeah, man.
that's something that's something a lot of people spend their entire lives fighting for, you know, to this day. A lot of people are still, you know, years and years into their career looking for a chance like that.
Right.
And to get that at only 23 years old is something I'll never take for granted. You know, never will take that for granted.
I respect that. I respect that. And like a great rapper I was listening to, J. Cole, man, did an interview and he said that envision yourself at your highest point and even go a little higher than that. And I was sitting there
Mhm.
after I heard it and even saying it right, I'm like, man, every time I hear it now, it's all over social media now. But I remember when it
Right,
first
right.
came out a few weeks ago. And I was just like, dang, I do that. I was like, man, I remember like, so remember this one thing I tell you is you did the Rams, but it's only gonna get better.
Yes,
It's
sir.
only gonna get better, man. You know, the way you are, the way you carry yourself, even seeing how I was able to reach out to you. I love networking and pouring into the youth, even though I'm still
Hey,
a young person. I love pouring into y'all because we are all the future. And
yes, sir.
if we want the future to be changed, we have to be the change agent for it. You know, and
Right.
in that, I would say, bruh, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I love Dion, man. I love Dion, dog. I
Yeah, I
love
see you back there. I see you
husband
back there, dog.
since I was a look like a little shorty.
I hear you.
And I would say I seen it last year. And I said, dang, I
Mhm.
hate I missed the symposium. Could have saw Dion. I was telling my wife. And she was like, well, you should go this year. And it slipped my mind, whatever. But my line brother, of course, him being more in sports, he was like, man, hey man, I'm gonna bring you, you come with me, just apply. So I sat around a while and then I did it. When I saw your video, when I went, I thought about your video. Before anything, I was like, I gotta reach out and have him on because his name
Right.
is Chauncy Deion Sanders, and he got the dad talk to Deion Sanders. So
Right,
how was
right.
that, man? How was that experience?
You know, looking back at it now as we're getting towards a year,
Mhm.
and now we've got to the second year of the Black Sports Business Symposium.
Right.
It was huge. It was bigger than what I even thought it was. You know, like I said, I've been having interactions like this throughout my entire life growing up as a kid. You know, at 4 years old, I had a moment with John Kerry as he was going for his presidential candidacy, and
Uh-huh.
I had moments, like I said, with Stephen A. a couple times where I've had run-ins. Like Dave Chappelle likes to say he had run-ins with O.J. Simpson.
Uh-huh.
I've had you know run-ins with Stephen A. like that several times in life, and the list just goes so on and so forth when I look back at it, you know, and it's amazing, you know. He still gives me advice to this day, and he gave me advice when I was going to LA. Actually, I got a chance to tell him like, hey man, you know, I appreciate the advice you gave me. I've been taking that on head on and not looking back, and because of that advice, you know, the door opened for me to go to Los Angeles, and he kind of was telling me the same thing you remember to me. You know, look for their whys. What is their whys, and try to jump on that and see if you can get something out of those athletes when you get the chance, you know, for that opportunity to interview or whatever you go forth and doing. And you know, I couldn't thank him enough. I couldn't thank him enough for the opportunity to share that moment on stage. You know, my parents were extremely happy knowing that they named me after him, and now we're embracing and having this huge moment on stage in front of thousands there in Atlanta,
It's indeed.
the stadium he built, if you will, you know,
Yes.
and that was huge. You know, it's kind of hard sometimes when you're in a moment like that to
Mhm.
look back and be, you know, thinking about how big this moment is or how special it is, because I feel like sometimes we kind of get tripped up in trying to be thinking about how huge this moment can be instead of just going ahead and just doing it. You know, you could stumble across it could have came off wrong or things of that nature, but you know, we embraced each other and it was awesome. You know, we saw each other a couple weeks following through that, and I like to say that kind of played an effect when we were at the SWAC Media Day when he was still respectively the head coach at Jackson State University.
Mhm.
And it kind of got into this media scrum at the time because, of course, Jackson State being at the so hot at the time, we were able to get some interviews in, and he actually saved the very last question for me, which I thought was really cool. He played that home court advantage card with me. He said, "Oh, I know who this young man is. Let him get the last question. Let him get that question in." And that was really special to me. That hold dear to me that he would, save that question for me. And then, of course, we follow each other through social media now. And even he loved the upcoming trailer, and he's excited for what's in store for me and the story that we kind of uh grown, if you will, since that moment on stage.
Definitely. That's dope. That's dope, man. That's a blessing. Definitely, man. And
Definitely.
that, like I was saying earlier, at the end of the day, man, it's just amazing to just see that for you because
Yeah.
it let me know it's gonna happen for the next person. Even being at that symposium last week, I was doing I met so many people, giving my card, things of that nature,
Right.
and
Right.
people were so genuine, and I told my line brother, I seen they had something, and we was talking about how like I love how they involve women a lot, and there's so many
Right.
things that tailor around women. I respect it, and I seen Maya Shaka, and I was like, "Yeah, I interviewed her, da da da." I was like, after this event, man, I got to go see if I can talk to her. So people were trying to
Hmm.
go up and take pictures with her or whatever. So I
Right.
got to her, and I said, "Hey, Maya, how you doing?" And at first she looked at me, then she said, "Hey, I know you're Jeremy. You interviewed me." I was like,
Right.
"You know
Right.
you on the cover of my book?" She was like, "No, my
Wow.
meeting." I was like, "Yeah, they ain't even." The lady was standing beside her from her agency, and I was like, "She ain't even got to you yet, man. Y'all been so busy doing everything." But I said, "I'm gonna send you a
Right.
box. I'm gonna send you a It Factor box, and I got to make sure you see it because you on the cover." And everybody asked me like,
That's dope.
"Man, how you in it? How was it to interview her?" And I said, "That lady's inspiration. She's black
Definitely.
history, definitely, you know." So also I
And
tell you too, man, in that I'll say, what is one of your ultimate or what are your ultimate life goals? I don't like to say one, because I have multiple. So like what are some of your ultimate life goals?
It's funny because I kind of got this similar question when I was out in LA. I had the chance to uh chop it up, if you will, and get some free game from Michael Smith,
Oh
the
man.
former ESPN analyst, and
Uh-huh.
now he's doing this thing with NBC and an
Right.
NFL scape and Amazon. And he asked me what the same question. I said, I want to be the Jamie Foxx of sports broadcasting. And this is not a recency thing. This is
Oh, man.
something I genuinely hold true on.
Mhm.
I don't think you could put myself in one spot or one category, if you will, in the sports media landscape.
Mhm.
I think I can be able to podcast. If you put me in a podcast situation where I need to host, I think I can rock out. I
Sweet.
think if you need a storyteller, a writer, if you will, I think I'm well equipped to do that as well. It's been in my resume. I've done it on two separate occasions now. And then if you need a play-by-play, I'm your man. Definitely, I'm your man. That's one of my niches, if you will.
Mhm.
And then if you need someone to analyze and break down the stats and make it easier for people at home to understand what's going on,
Mhm.
I'm your man for that as well. So I don't necessarily put myself into one category. I like to be a Swiss Army knife.
Yes,
And
indeed.
that's how I was as an athlete, if you will, a basketball player for my high school at John Hay High School in Cleveland. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. So before we do close, I would say so we love sports. We both love sports, man.
Right.
I'm an engineer outside of this, right? Cool. That's what I went to school for. But the biggest thing I always think about is I say, who is Jeremy outside of what people know me as? So who is Chauncey outside of sports, anything, media, anything? Who are you?
Wow. That's a great question, actually.
Mhm.
I think Chauncey Sanders outside of the sports world is a movie going lover,
Mhm.
popcorn eating, easygoing, um, traveling enthusiast, hairbrushing enthusiast. Not really today. Today I'm a little bit rough. It's been a rough week, but you know
Uh-huh.
what? Hairbrushing enthusiast. We're gonna throw it on there anyways, and just ultimately a family guy. He's big on family. He's big on networking, and he holds his friendships just as close as his family. And That's something that I don't think a lot of people take for granted, being close and just being an ultimate networker.
Right. I love it, man. I loved it. So would you happen to have any questions for me?
You know what? Next year, we need to make sure you're there seriously, for this symposium next year.
I'll be
I'm excited. So my question is, are you going to be back? And what was one of the main things you took,
uh-huh.
if you will, from those moments?
I wish I had it when I was in college, only graduating in 2019. Because to be honest with you, man, it would have steered me away from that. I put myself in a box in college, and
Mhm.
before graduating, I took myself out that box because I was like, I do
Mm,
engineering, but that's not all of what I love. Like I'm able to
mhm.
interview doctors, lawyers. I never thought I'd be able to do this because growing up, you're like, oh, you got to do this one thing. This is how you do it. It's gonna get
Right.
to the top. But I never had a parent that was saying that. It was more of the people outside. My mom, growing up in a single parent home, my mom was like always on that piece of, hey, do what you want and do it at the best that you can do it. But you can do multiple things. So while I was there, it's just the impact of seeing our people. Not only I ain't saying pit nobody on, I'm saying literally people are sitting there and talking to you and saying, "Hey, this is how you can do it, and these are the steps." It ain't no like cut corner. It's like, "Hey, this is what I did. You can do it too. You can even do it better." And just
Right.
even being able to see Maya, man, or go to shake people's hand, seeing somebody from high school, like I got to see Casey Hayward. That was cool, man, because I remember seeing him beat my high school for the first time in 12 years. That's like our biggest rivalry. So like to see someone like that, or to even hear from like we love the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't get me wrong, we love
Mhm.
football teams. Like to hear
Right.
black men sit up there and see that they in VP spaces that we don't even know. And you're
That's
like,
right.
dang,
That's right.
I
Yeah.
wish I knew this in college because you never know what my career, even though I know my career now, I know what I can do, but you never know what it could have been back then. So honestly, like I literally could have been like, oh, I can do this. Like they doing this.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
They're
Oh, I
doing
can
this.
interview these people. Oh man, that's good. Man, it was just very impactful. I had a lot of gratitude towards what the symposium gave because to have it in the stadium and to just groom young people, it made me feel good. Like I literally thank
Mm.
God, man. Like thank you for this because I never would have known.
And
Never would have
I
known.
think that's the beauty of the symposium, to be honest.
Mhm.
People look at those guys like, the headliners, Rich Paul. I don't think people understand. You don't really get these opportunities to be within arm's reach
Mhm.
these
Yeah,
figures that we have at the symposium.
right.
Rich Paul, Maria Taylor,
Mhm.
Don Staley.
Yeah.
You don't get these opportunities to be amongst these people, if you will. And it's not just the headliners, like you said. There's an executive panel
Mhm.
showcasing a multitude of black men, black VPs that were sitting on the panel and discussing their way of navigating through this career field. And it just went, like you said, with the women. And then if you're in the AEW, they had something for you. This weekend at Talladega, Bubba Wallace will be racing. He was there. I
Right.
think that's really cool to be able to see these people that you see on TV, but also the people behind the scenes that are doing great things as well, and being able to get free game from them. You don't get this much free game
Don't.
at the space like the Black Sports Business Symposium. And so that's really special, man. I'm glad you took all of that
Yeah.
away from that amazing weekend. And I'm looking forward to what year 3 holds. They like to say there's no such thing as that sophomore slump. And now here we are, year 3, and the expectations are going to be just as high.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And then before we do close, I would say also I seen something there that I don't see at any engineering or any tech symposium. It was the embracing of people, knowing
Mm,
like, oh, you ain't just meeting quota. Hey, come here real quick. Hey, look, I want you to meet so and so. This is the reason why I want you to
right,
meet, and they gonna help you do this, and it's gonna give you the propelling to help someone else. That's how I
right.
looked at it, and it was just like, cool. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that with me. So, thank you for the day, man. This has made my day, man.
No,
Definitely.
no, you're making my day, man. Just to be able to sit back and discuss the amazing event we had and also bring awareness to it. I think that's also what's the next key for people that lead the symposium.
Right.
We know you left with a lot of game, but
Mhm.
don't forget to be able to tell people what's going on, because we want this to continue. We want people to continue to support this symposium and be a part of it. You know, we want to make it bigger and better. And I think that's what Greg and the crew,
Mm.
Gregory Gibson, if you will, that's what their goal is to do. You know, continue to be the pillars, continue to be the incubator, the space for Black people in the sports business field.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So with that, brother, that's the show, man. Thank you so much. You need anything? You want my new book? You need to
Oh, I
talk?
definitely need that new book. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
man. It's the Art of Networking and the It Factor Memoir. I tell you what I do, man. And just some of the people that I was able to even get in touch with. And it's an amazing book, man. Definitely. Pick my time.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it now. I'm gonna have to get that book. I'm gonna have to send you my address after this conversation for sure.
Got you. So we'll talk soon, man. You take it easy.
Definitely. You too, man. Look forward to hearing you guys. And oh, don't forget to
Mm.
please like, share, and make sure you have that subscribe button on. I
Yes.
definitely wouldn't want anyone to miss this mini doc, and hopefully it touches people and inspires people to not only join the Black Sports Business Symposium next year, but to also make sure that when you are within whatever respective field you're in, you know, make sure that you know that it's bigger than just yourself. You
Yes,
know,
indeed.
one of the things Stephen A. Smith left me with when I met him in a second time around
Uh-huh.
my freshman year of college was, if you're going to be lazy, quit, you
Mm.
know, because it's bigger than you. And if you're lazy, what do you expect that employer to think about the next person that looks just like you?
Right.
And so that was something that I hold to this day. You know, I still post it up in my room to this day. You know, if you're going to be lazy, quit.
Mm.
And so, you know, I just want people to please like, subscribe, share on the Black Sports Business Symposium, and then of course on my Instagram page, Chauncy D Sanders, and Twitter at Chauncy Sanders.
Yes, indeed. So we'll be talking soon, brother, man. You take it easy.
You too, yes sir. Look forward to seeing you again, Jeremy.
Yes, indeed.